back to another episode of this podcast. My name is Evan Liel. It's called Existence, and it's conversations talking about love, death, consciousness, people, experiences, and anything else that I think there is so much value to be shared in conversation and in conversations with people. And it's funny because this week was supposed to be a conversation with somebody else. I didn't know who. I was going to find that out, but it never ended up happening yet. I had plans to go interview people, and I still have plans to interview people for next week, but I've really been struggling to ensure that I find somebody to talk to. And I was recently reminded about the power of conversation and just how meaningful it is to have conversations with other people about anything. And just being able to be open and honest with yourself and to see where that goes when you're talking with somebody. And I think that's the really beautiful part about having conversations and discussions and honest, genuine, caring discussions with other people. And, that's what I want. That's why I started this. That's why I am doing this at all, is to be able to have more of those. I mean, my goal, it took a long time to even figure out that this is what I wanted to do. And, I think often about how I found this, how I discovered that me talking into a microphone with other people is something that I found not only meaningful, but truly profound in my life. Because I've always been somebody that liked having conversations with other people, and somebody that was I consider myself a very social person to an extreme degree, which sometimes can affect my mental health. But I love it so much, and I love engaging with others in a way that I just can't do with myself. And that's where I find this, the idea of podcasting so interesting. And that's how I found podcasting so engaging for my own life, because I had always listened to podcasts, and I had always been someone who I can't speak today, who took part in listening to podcasts. And I always found so much to gain from them. And, because you could do it wherever you are, and you can listen to somebody else's conversations, and you can formulate your own opinions, and you can listen to many different episodes with many different people and see what they have to say. And I never really considered doing it for myself until I started traveling and having so many profound and intimate conversations with other people, where I found myself really questioning what I should be doing in life in general, and always kind of falling back onto, well, I love talking to people, and I love learning about things that I don't know about, which is basically everything. And if I could do anything, in the world for a living, it would be just to have conversations with people. It would just be to talk to other people and expand my knowledge and engage with the world in a way that I can have discussions and have heartfelt dialogue with others that I feel gives me purpose and meaning in sharing. And that's how this got started, and that's how this is continuing. And I think something I'm reflecting on often is my own passion for this and how much I really care to make this something that sustains me. And I don't know what that looks like, but and that's not why I'm doing it. I'm not doing it to for any reason other than to do it. But how do I always maintain my love for this, and how do I always want to do this? And I don't know, and I think I don't have all the answers, but I'm trying, and I'm working every day to do something for this project of mine. And the project is life, and this is a part of that, because I think sharing life with other people is the most important thing we can do, because we can't do it alone. And it goes into the question of how you do that. But being able to talk and share your experience of life with other people and have them share their experience of life with you is so incredibly important, regardless of what you're talking about. And, I like and I enjoy certain types of conversation that isn't completely based in what other people like to talk about. And I think that's what I love most, is to talk about things I don't know about at all, too. Because what other people have to share that I have absolutely no way of having an opinion on is something, it's just making me learn more about something that I have no right to I don't even know what I have. I don't even know that I don't have an opinion on it or have any sort of engagement with it at all. And that's why I like to talk to other people, because they share their experience of something that I don't have. And I would have no idea of having that without being with them and talking to them in a certain way. With respect, with love, and with care, and with attention to what they're doing. And this kind of goes back to my original point of, and this is a larger question in my life that I'm trying to figure out in relation to this week's dilemmas that I've been having, which is finding the strength to go out and do this with other people that I don't know. And I am normally I don't care at all. I've actually, so a little backstory, I'm in Budapest, Hungary with my partner, and I don't know. I've been dealing with a lot of things that have been putting pressure on me and my relationship and the situation around me and my own mental health and different things. So there's been a lot of pressure and dealing with a whole slew of circumstantial stresses, as well as maintaining this. It's been quite a strain on my mental health recently. And I know it'll all sort itself out, but I'm really trying to engage with it as much as I can and not let it overtake me. Because if I don't do what I need to understand what's going on inside my head and some of the roadblocks that I find myself encountering, then nothing will get better, and I'll just stay the same. And I'll stay in the same cycle of thought continually if nothing changes. And this is related to my point, because I'm somebody who is a very social person and somebody that really cares about meeting new people. And I don't have social anxiety really. But, every once in a while, I think, especially due to all the stresses that I've been dealing with, I've been having this stagnation in me going out and meeting new people, especially in the context of a podcast, because it's a lot to kind of figure out. And I know it's a mental barrier and not so much as a external one. And a part of my podcast is me wanting to do my episodes in person with everybody that I interview and have a conversation with. And so that's just a personal thing for me to not make compromises on. And so being in a completely new place, it's affected that dramatically. And it's not that I can't do it, and I know the ways in which I will do it. It's that there's this mental barrier that I'm coming across, and it's becoming more and more salient as the days go on, and I know I need to get an episode out. And because regardless, I'm going to get an episode out, even if it's just me talking in the mic like this, there's something that's going to come out. And I've already made that decision in my head. And, I'm working on not just this, but I'm working on my YouTube trailers and my social media posts and trying to put out quality things in terms of me filming things for like different media related things for this podcast. But it all goes back to this podcast. Like everything, it doesn't really matter if this is the only thing I really care about. I don't care about how many. I don't care about anything really except making this a successful thing for myself. And it already, I have to be comfortable with, saying that it is successful already. It's just, I want to try to make this work, as something that is sustainable, but that comes with time and it comes with effort, and I'm putting in time and effort into making it work as much as I can. And I fall into the trap of comparison. And it's not good because, comparison is the death of happiness. And it's something that I probably do have more of a problem with than I care to admit. Comparing myself in many ways. And, there is this sense inside of me that wants to just be better than what I am and be better than what I've been doing. And it's not that I don't, I compare myself to people that are doing similar things and, have been doing it for longer or have been doing it better or have been doing it differently. And it's hard for me to silence that part of myself because I always think that I'm failing in some sense. And I'm not afraid of failure. I think failure is great. It's just that I know I could do better. And so it propels me forward in a way that allows me to get things done and to do things, but it might not be the most helpful. And admitting that is, it's something that's important to do, is to admit your faults. And my fault is I compare myself to other people. But, I sometimes see it as I don't think it's a good thing, but can be, there are benefits to it because I'm somebody that prides myself in doing things. And regardless of what it is, if I say I'm going to do it, I do it. And it's been hard to have that trait while putting it in relation with people or others that do things as well. And where do I fall on this line of comparison? Like where do I fall on this line of this hierarchy of I don't know, creators or people? And this doesn't just relate to my podcast. This relates to many things in my life where I just, it's like, what am I doing that I can be proud of that other people aren't doing? And I don't get jealous of other people, but it makes I wouldn't say jealousy is a part of this. I'm happy for other people to do their things, and I want other people to be successful. It's the way I internalize it that I think is the most harmful thing, because I see other people doing their thing and I think, how can I be better? Not necessarily how can I be better than them, but it's like, how can I just be better than what I'm doing now because they're doing it better? And it's just, it's me comparing myself to myself and other people being the catalyst for that. But it's it's not easy to kind of be able, it's not easy to be able to ask myself like what it is that I need to do in order to get out of this, because I don't even know what the questions are to ask. And all I know is that I'm going to continue doing it, and it doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter. I think the worst part is that I know in the back of my head, it doesn't matter. Like if it doesn't matter how many people listen to this or what happens, what this looks like in a year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now. It doesn't matter what it looks like, in terms of how much this will benefit me, because I'm going to do it regardless of anything. I'm just going to do it. And the problem is like, how do I do it without being so hard on myself for not doing it better? But it's like, what does better look like? And as I know, as long as I continue doing this and continue putting myself out there and continue getting myself to a certain state that I can be proud of. Like it's going to happen regardless. Like I don't know what it's going to look like, but it's going to continue somewhere. It's going to continue forward some direction. And I can trust in my love and care for this, that it's going to be a positive thing. But it's like, how hard does the process have to be for myself in order for it to work? In order for it to not affect me as much as it might right now. And, I think this is something that I'm coming to as someone that puts things out there now for other people to see. And it's not something I've ever done before. And it's as new to me because I never considered myself a creator of any sort. I just did my life and I was doing that. And what I created for myself was a foundation of my own life and my own mental health. And that was enough. And it is enough. And it will always be enough. But there are things I want to do outside of my own lens. And I think that's why I do enjoy doing this so much and sharing it with other people, because I like to think that there's value in it. And now being within the space of people that create things online or otherwise, it puts me in a vulnerable state of many people who are doing this, and many people who are in the midst of creating something that they find important, that they find relevant, and that find of value to them, and putting it out there and just letting it be and letting it do its thing and take its course, wherever that might go. And then doing their best to not get so caught up in what other people think and how other people think, why other people think, what they do about what you've made. And being a creator now it's a very new thing, and it's something that I have, I'm starting to come around to with the word and the hesitancy towards me saying these things, because I'm somebody that is not even on social media personally. On my personal page, I don't have anything on there. I don't use it for much more than messaging people sometimes. And the only reason I have social media is because now it's a value to kind of get my stuff out there or get this podcast out there. And that's really the only reason I justify it now. And I don't think it's inherently a bad thing to do if used correctly, at least in my own life. I can't speak for what others may think or view, but it was just something that I stayed away for a long time, and I continue to stay away from in a lot of ways. But like being vulnerable and putting things out there that I don't know how people will react to and how people will see it. It's something that is difficult because your creation, your object of yourself, it came from you, it came from your mind, it came from your head. And that all plays a factor in you making something that you find quality and you find beauty in, you find value in, and you offer that to the world. And there's a million people doing that. And I think that's a beautiful thing. But I also think that there's so much out there that I don't want to be associated with. That's on some of these platforms that I don't care about, that I don't find important, and I might find detrimental to society or myself. And I think that's why I put the emphasis that I have to remind myself. And it's not necessarily a struggle, but it's just something I want to be cognizant of as I continue, that I always want to remain true to what I create. And I don't want to put anything out there that I don't truly find of value. And it just comes down to authenticity. And I want to be genuine and true. And I don't want to do things that I don't want to put out things that I don't think will be authentic to who I am and to what I want to convey. And I don't want to be corrupted by some of the tactics and ways in which people online find themselves gravitating towards because of a certain monetary value or a certain potential viewership or whatever. Like there's many ways in which I think people who create things online especially can fall into traps of being guided in certain ways in which become antithetical to who they are as a person. And I don't ever want to be that. And I'm not there, and I don't, I just have to remain true to that. And I have to be comfortable that whatever I do create, and I have to tell myself this, that whatever I do create is going to be something that I think is good enough to be out there. And that I don't want to, it doesn't need to get me anywhere. It doesn't need to do me anything. It doesn't need to be seen by a certain person. It doesn't need to get me a certain number. It just needs to stand on its own as something that I created, that I think is beautiful, that I think is valuable, that I think is worthwhile, and to not let anything else prevent me from doing that, the one thing. And I think that's something that is lacking in so much of online media, especially, is this lack of authenticity. And it does exist. It does exist out there. And I that's what I do listen to. That's what I do watch. There are so many things that I find value in, and I think they're incredible things to watch, and to consume, because it's so beautiful and it's so captivating and it's worthwhile and it's of value. And there's people that are doing that all the time. And there are people that aren't doing that. And I want to be the creator that is doing that, that is putting out things that, regardless of what it sees, regardless of what people watch it, regardless of what number there is attached to it, that it's true and genuine and honest, and not something that I would do for any other reason other than my own creativity and my own genuine, honest self being put into it. And so, relating that to this conversation, relating that to why I love conversation, why I'm doing a podcast at all, is because it's so embedded in who I am. That conversation has been such a part of my formation and my maturing and my growth in life, that I want to be able to facilitate that with other people, for other people. And I want to be able to bring to light some of the things that I think about, and the things that I talk and the things that the people I talk to think about. Because it's important to just recognize other people for what they have to offer and not just myself. But sometimes all I can do is just talk in this microphone. Like today, for whatever reason, it's just, there's a block in my head and I can't talk to somebody that for different situations, for a lot of reasons. And I know it's not me. It's not the true me, because I know that the person inside of me is just somebody that is just eager to talk to somebody. And I want that. It's just, sometimes you have to take care of yourself and not try to put yourself in this situation that you can do, but it's going to do more harm than good, possibly. And it's something I'm very comfortable with, is just talking to people. And I am very comfortable talking to other people. It's just, for whatever reason, today is just not the day. And I'm doing something, and I still am working towards something, and I've still been working towards something, and I will continue to get this out there, because this isn't going to stop. And I've already made that decision. And, I've already, and I think back to like what I have put out, and I'm so proud of it. And I'm so happy that I'm come this far. I haven't made an incredible amount of episodes, but it's still come so much farther than my original thought of just starting to record conversation at all. And I know it's not a novel idea. It's a podcast. 1 million people have a podcast, but it's not about other people's. It's about mine. It's about who I am and what I find of value, what I find important to get out there, and what I find creatively fulfilling. And it's not to say that other things aren't creatively fulfilling that other people do. They are. But I can only see things through my perspective. And that's the point of, having conversations with people, is to see others' perspectives that I don't see. And yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of work, and it's been a lot of strain and pressure, but I know I can handle it. I know I'm doing my best to cope with it. And this is part of the coping. And it's helpful to just talk and to get words out there and to get your ideas out there. And, I would love to talk to other people who listen to this, and to get other ideas, and to continue shaping what this podcast is, what this is for me and for the people who listen to it, because ultimately, I'm doing this to share, and to doing it for myself ultimately, but I want trying to share it, and because I think it's valuable. And I like to be the facilitator of something like this. This is just what I find fulfilling. So yeah, that's what I've got going on, and that is what this episode is about. I don't really know what that is. It's just this. I don't know. Maybe people resonate with this. I'm sure people do. You always think you're alone until you talk to other people and realize that everybody else thinks the same things that you think. Somewhere. So that's why I think it's important to do. And, with that, I really hope everyone who listens to this is doing well, and that we continue to be vulnerable and put ourselves in situations which are scary and might seem difficult and might seem hard to handle, but those are the situations in which growth comes from. And, it's a daily thing putting yourself out there. It's a daily thing being vulnerable. I mean, I just rambled on for 37 minutes about me not knowing what to do for this week's episode and why I going into some issues I've had mentally. So, I mean, that's it's not something I find necessarily enjoyable to do, but I think it might resonate with somebody. And so that's why I put it out there. And it helps me just to talk about it, even if it's just to myself openly and into a microphone being recorded. I want to have more conversations with people that are interested in consciousness, interested in psychedelics, interested in love, interested in life, interested in pursuing whatever their passion is. And I want to do it from the perspective of myself and my personality and who I am, and doing it in a way that I think hopefully brings genuine, honest, insightful conversation, and with humility and being humble, because I have nothing figured out completely. Nobody does. And I'm just trying to do my best to be a person who can admit that and to show that it's possible to put aside our differences and to put aside our own opinions and to put aside our own intuitions and to kind of look at ourselves objectively, look at our subjective experience objectively, and to admit that we're wrong sometimes, a lot of the times, and to admit that we can do better. We can do things that don't have to be judgmental. We don't have to tell other people that they're wrong and I'm right. Because, there is so much value in honest, humble, loving care. And I'm trying to facilitate that. And that's what it is, and that's what I'm doing. And that's what I will do. So next week there will be an interview of some sort on here. And it will continue to go on, this podcast. There will continue to be a released episode every Friday on Existence, the podcast. And it will be pretty sweet. I hope. I think every episode I do is pretty awesome. And I love anybody that's willing to be on it, because being able to record yourself is such a vulnerable thing, I think. So I appreciate anybody that was willing to kind of get on and talk about themselves, their life, their experiences. And ultimately, all the problems we have are solved with love. It's the truth to everything. Be more loving. Be more kind. Be more caring, compassionate. It starts with love. It starts with love in many ways and in many forms. And it's it's like parsing through that. The amounts, the types of love that we can find in this world, and applying that to the everyday circumstances that we do find ourselves in. So with that, thank you for listening to my ramblings. I hope there was something of value in there. And if not, that's fine too. I really appreciate anybody who listens to this. It's quite a pleasure for me to do it. And if anybody wants to reach out, you can find me in any of the links in the show notes. And yeah, please, I'm here. Thanks for listening. There will be another episode and many more. So have a good day and stay beautiful. Bye.